Welcome back to Homestead. I know it's been a little bit since we posted any videos, but it has literally been a rainforest here in Georgia. We have had rain every single day for I think like 2, maybe 3 weeks. Everyone's saying, hey, I don't live in Florida, I live in Georgia. Yes, we do live in Georgia. We live in a temperate rainforest type climate sometimes, and it is lush, it is full of rain and full of mosquitoes. They're driving me nuts. So we haven't been able to do a whole lot except run out and spurts and pick the garden, which I'm gonna hopefully get to show y'all some next week, because everything is going great with that. Quick update on our broody hens. Both of them are good to go. They are both laying. Today we got 13 eggs, so everybody is back to laying again. So the chicken gel worked. What we're going to talk about today, though, is the reality of raising meat chickens. A lot of vloggers and YouTubers show the glory of raising meat chickens, and it is pretty awesome, the fact that you know what you have put into those birds, and therefore you know what you're putting into your family's body. And it can be cheaper than buying chicken at the stores, too. But there is a dark side of raising meat chickens, and that's kind of what I want to show y'all today. Is what the real reality behind raising meat chickens. Besides the good points, there are your negative points, and if you're ever going to do this, then you kind of need to be aware of everything that's going on. So let's get doing some of our chicken chores and show you how these meat chickens go. So right after you move them, this is what you will have. The reality, and pardon my French, is a poop square. That's not what we call it. We call it something that has an S as well. But it's a square. So they were fed this morning. We're in their last week of their existence, and they're about to be fed again today. About 1.5 gallons of food. I want you to see how food driven these chickens are. Hank? This side, Jackson. Oops. All right.
Stop.
You can scoot more out, Jackson. Just a little bit.
This much?
Yeah. Put it over here on this end, or that end. That's fine.
Them twice a day. They usually jumped on the feed and tried to pick out of the feed before you even put it down. And whenever you tried to whenever you were feeding it, they would fly everywhere and nip at your fingers.
They would peck at your fingers?
They'd peck at your fingers.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So since we've started feeding them twice a day, how has it become?
They've become less aggressive. And not all of them go to the food like they used to, because they get fed in the morning. Some of them are still full from the morning, and they're just not as aggressive. They don't jump as much because they're way too fat to jump.
That's very true. The other aspect of the reality of raising meat birds is the smell. If y'all had smell-o-vision, you could smell the wonderful smell of chicken poop. And some people might say that that's the smell of money fertilizing our ground. Some people might say that it's the smell of money fertilizing or eating, filling our bellies. When you're standing here watering the chickens, it just smells like chicken poop. Behind me, folks, looks like perfectly placed landscape squares. That is not what that is. See beyond the green? That's a lawn. Those are chicken squares. The back part and the remnants of the chicken squares from our first round of chickens is still present. These are the current chicken squares. Yes, the grass will come back greener. It will be beautiful. But right now, it's a whole bunch of squares. And that's not dirt, y'all. That's not dirt. That is not dirt. These chickens are not big foragers like Rhode Island's or like your regular laying hens or like the Ranger meat birds are. Cornish crosses are food driven. They want their food. And they will forage a little bit, but not much. This, folks, again, is not dirt. So this is the reality of raising meat chickens. Considered grass-fed, because they are on grass. They were up here when they were chicks. And as I got older, it became this. They are about 5 days away from processing day. Okay, so the reality of raising meat chickens is they smell, they get dirty, they're food aggressive. And when I say aggressive, I don't mean like a rabid raccoon or something like that. But all they care about is their food. They're food driven. I have been pecked till I've bled. They don't care. They're not like your cute little egg-laying hens who are kind of like pets. These chickens, all they care about is food. They recognize me as a food bringer, so that's about it. So smelly, they get dirty, they are food aggressive, and pretty much your pasture or your yard gets destroyed. It is what it is. It's the reality of raising your meat chickens. But at the same time, even though the reality is a little dark, and you might be giving up a beautiful green lawn, or you might get pecked until you bleed, or your kids might be afraid of the chickens for a minute, your kids will learn. Your peck will heal. Your yard will grow back, and at the end of all of it, you have a grass-fed, pasture-raised chicken that you know what went into those chickens. It wasn't some antibiotics, it wasn't pumped full of steroids. These chickens were raised outside. They got to smell fresh air, they got to breathe fresh air, they got the sun, they got rain, they got grass, they got bugs, everything that nature intended them to originally have. And it's worth it. It's worth it to me. It's worth it. Do I recommend you doing it? Well, you got to look at your situation. Start small. I always suggest start small. This is our third go round doing chickens. The first time we did it was 7. The second time we did it was 22. And now we're doing 15. And I kind of like that 15 number. I feel like they have a little bit more room to run around. I don't have to move them as much. Some people might ask, well, why don't you just move them twice a day so that you don't get the damage to your yard that you did? I did that with the meat birds for the 22 chickens that we had, and while we have 3 acres, a lot of our acreage is wooded, and a lot of it is at the front of our house where it is not fenced in, so I don't feel comfortable putting the chickens up there. So I don't have a ton of room back here to move them constantly, and we were running out of room moving them twice a day. So at the end of the 22 chickens, the last go round, I had to stop moving them twice a day. So this time I moved them once a day, 15 chickens. They did the same damage that the 22 chickens did. So I'm more comfortable with that number. Our feed cost wasn't as great. Our water cost wasn't as great. So I kind of like that number. Start small if you're going to do them, and be prepared to work. These chickens take work. Now, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes every day, you have to commit that time every day to take care of these chickens. So that's the reality of the meat chickens, guys. If you have any questions, comment below. If you haven't already, subscribe, like this video, share it for us, and hopefully if the monsoons stay away for a little bit of time, next week I will show you a harvest update. Y'all have a great evening.